175th meeting of the Board of Trustees, Metropolitan Sewer District. Can I get a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Watson.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison.
Yes.
Colonel Wilson.
Yes.
All right, we have 2 county and 2 city trustees. We do have a quorum.
Okay, can I get an approval of the journal of the preceding minutes, the August 10th meeting?
So move.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Approved. The chair will defer its comments to a little bit
Chairman,
later.
we're ready.
You all ready?
Yes, we are.
Then I will defer my comments to Mr. Holscher, our president.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On September 5th, the Board of Trustees received the Rate Commission report, Rate Commission resolution, and a Rate Commission transmittal letter. We have here this evening the Chairman of the Rate Commission, Len Tenges, and he'd like to say a few words.
I was thinking about reading this report to you. However, my name is Len Tenges. I am Chairman of the Rate Commission and appreciate the opportunity, as do all the Rate Commissioners, to serve in this capacity. Just a couple things that I would like to highlight in the report. First of all, is the impact on the ratepayers. This was something that came through repeatedly during our public hearings and during our discussions, was the impact on the ratepayers, not just as a result of the stormwater and wastewater case, but we're all aware of what's going on with other utility rates, whether it's water in the city or electric, natural gas, et cetera, et cetera. The Rate Commission, in its deliberations, and you'll see it in our report, we know that the trustees don't have the authority or the capacity to form a region-wide dialogue group, if you will, to look at all of the impact of all of the utility rate increases on the ratepayers. However, we are encouraging the trustees and the district to reach out to whoever the most appropriate group would be within the region to try to encourage the powers that be to convene some sort of a group to study the impact on the ratepayers and look for some collaborative approach to rate increases as it impacts the folks who we listen to. We are the voice of the people. We listen to the people at all of our public hearings and all of our proceedings, and this is something that came through pretty loud and clear from the public, from the folks who we all try to serve. Secondly, the thing that sort of stands out in the report is the distribution of the stormwater, the municipal grant program. If that is approved by the voters, what sort of a process would be used to distribute the stormwater funds across the region. There are other partners that we would encourage the district to work with, such as the Municipal League or the other folks who are mentioned in our report, to look at a responsive methodology to distribute those based on more than population. It's a very complex issue with the stormwater and the rate case, the initial rate case, as you'll see on page 2 of our letter, really doesn't take into account actual stormwater needs of the community, doesn't consider the cost benefit of each project. Some other things that became apparent as we were looking at it, and we do encourage the trustees to delve a little deeper into that particular aspect of the rate case. Finally, I think that, pardon me, there is a lot of material here. And after our hearings were over, several of the commissioners, rate commissioners, came up to me and said, you know, we want to make sure the trustees know that we're available post filing of the report, that if any of the trustees want to reach out to us, certainly you have the experts of the district. But if any of the trustees want to reach out to any of the rate commissioners, if there are things in the report that maybe you would like to have more clarification on or a little more in-depth information about, I know that any of us would be more than happy to continue to provide our input and our perspective. Finally, I want to thank Brian and his staff team. They were extremely professional throughout our rate hearings. I want to thank all of the folks who we hired, our legal counsel and our public relations people and our rate consultants who did a great job of digging down into this and helping us put this report together. I want to thank each individual rate commissioner. They spent a lot of time. I want to thank you all. I know you spent a lot of time on this. The rate commissioners did spend a considerable amount of time to make sure that we did have a comprehensive report. And then finally, and I think most importantly, I need to publicly thank the people of the public, the folks who took the time out of their day and either came to one of our public hearings or came into this room and provided us input into this rate case. We really worked hard to reach out to those folks and really need to thank them. This is not the Rate Commission's report. This is really the report of the folks in the region who provided input to the Rate Commission so that we could give this feedback to you. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to serve, and on behalf of all the rate commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to serve the community by doing something that we hope is meaningful and does make St. Louis a better and healthier place to live. Thank you. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dinges. Appreciate that
Thank you very much.
overview. Okay, we'll have the report of the board committees. I will read the ad hoc committee report. Fourth 2023 ad hoc board committee board comment report. The 2023 ad hoc board committee met on September the 6th, 2023 at 12:01 p.m. The meeting was attended by Vice Chairperson Wilson, Trustees Nicholson, Watson, and Wabi. The staff present were Tracy Coleman, Brian Holscher, Tim Snoke, Susan Meyer, Jenny Kinstra, Brett Berthall, Rich Underbelt, and Marion G. The Vice President of HR Gov, James Arndt, was also in attendance. There were no members of the public present. Vice Chairperson Wilson called for roll and had no further comments. The minutes from the preceding meeting on July 18, 2023 were approved. The agenda for the meeting. At approximately 12:02, Chairperson Wilson requested a motion to move into closed session to discuss seal proposals and related documents under Section 610.021, subparagraph 12, RSM 1988, supplement, and all present trustees concurred. At approximately 1:38 p.m., Vice Chairperson Wilson requested a motion to end closed session and return to open session, and all trustees concurred. Trustee Wilson adjourned the meeting at 1:38 p.m. The next committee meeting date will be determined at a later time. This concludes the 2023 Ad Hoc Board Committee comment report. Okay, would you take the Audit Committee? That's yours.
Yes.
Would you take it for us, Trustee
Certainly.
Watson?
Good afternoon, everyone. The audit committee met on September the 5th at 7:32 a.m. The meeting was attended by trustees Watson, Nicholson, and Wilson, and trustee Fair and Wabi attended online. Chairperson Watson called roll and had no introductory comments. The minutes of the August 1st audit committee meeting were approved. Next, internal audit presented a report for an audit engagement that consisted of a review of the district's procedures and administering construction contracts. Specifically, the engagement involved a review of contract administration procedures that included the initial execution of the contract and the funding of the related project, as well as the procedures to monitor contract performance and procedures to process payment for performance. 5 contracts were selected for review and testing for the November 2022 population of open construction contracts. The contracts selected consist of lump sum and unit cost contract. Contract dollar values in the total for the 5 contracts amounted to $57.2 million. The engagement received a satisfactory or clean opinion. 1 opportunity for improvement was presented and discussed with the committee. The item focused on the procedures used to review the process pay applications. Questions were addressed and they were received from the committee. The next audit committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. The meeting was adjourned at approximately 7:45 a.m. This concludes the audit committee report.
Thank you, Trustee Watson. Program Management Committee report.
Yes, sir. Program Management Committee met on September 5th, 2023 at 7:47 a.m. The meeting was attended by trustees Nico Zisson, Wilson, and Watson, with trustee Wabi and Fair online. Chairperson Nico Zisson called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the August 1st, 2023 Program Management meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion regarding the following items. Ordinance numbers 16204 and 16209. Staff provided details of 6 CSO volume reduction green infrastructure grants being awarded to reduce combined sewer overflows to the Mississippi River per the consent decree. Staff provided details of the grants being awarded to HGS LLC, doing business as RES Environmental Operating Company. Interfaith Residents, doing business as Doorways. LRA, care of Green City Coalition, Procter & Gamble Company, Ronald McDonald House Charities, and the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis for various volume reducing bioretention basins and permeable payments. Ordinance numbers 16212 through 16217. Staff reviewed the details and bid information for 6 construction project bids over the past month. These ordinances will authorize contracts and appropriate the necessary funds for these projects. Staff requesting introduction and adoption of 2 ordinance numbers 16218 through 16219. Staff is requesting introduction and adoption of 2 ordinances to enter a contract with Fred M. Luth and Sons to complete work on 2 projects whereby the district's original contractor was unable to complete the work. Staff has an agreement with the surety company for the original contractor to provide the necessary funding to complete this work. Ordinance numbers 16221 through 16224. Staff reviewed the details of 4 projects currently in easement acquisition. Staff has been unable to obtain all necessary property rights through negotiation. Staff is requesting authorization from the board to move forward with condemnation efforts on a total of 18 to allow the projects to remain on schedule. The project schedules are critical to ensure compliance with the district's consent decree and to replace failing sewers and structures. Other business. A presentation was given by Mr. Unverfer to inform the board on 4 major capital improvement projects being constructed over the next 16 to 20 years. These 4 projects will comprise of approximately 60 to 70% program dollars over this period. Presentation included project sheets for each of the projects and reviewed details of the WWTP nutrient removal project. Staff will continuously update the details on these projects to keep the board well informed on these critical and costly projects. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for October 3rd, 2023. The meeting was adjourned at 8:31 a.m. This concludes the Program Management Board comments report.
Thank you, Trustee Nicholson. I'll read the Finance Committee report, or its comment report.
I could read it if you.
Would you?
Yeah. Finance Committee met on September 5, 2023 at 8:33 a.m. The meeting was attended by Trustees Watson, Wilson, Nicholson, with Trustees Fair and Wabi online. Chairperson Wilson called roll and had no further comments. The minutes of the August 1, 2023 Finance meeting were approved. The agenda items to be introduced tonight were presented and discussed, including a detailed discussion by Secretary Treasurer Tim Snoke regarding the following items. Introduction of proposed ordinance number 16225. This ordinance authorizes MSD to issue up to $330 million in subordinate wastewater system revenue bonds, Series 2023D, WIFIA, to be repaid over 35 years. The proceeds will be used to fund the Bissell Lime WWTF fluidized bed incinerators. Introduction of proposed ordinance number 16226. This ordinance authorizes MSD to issue up to $260 million in subordinate wastewater system revenue bonds, Series 2023E, to be repaid over 30 years at a fixed rate. The proceeds will be used to fund the Bissell Lime WWTF fluidized bed incinerators. Other items discussed during the committee meeting include the following. The quarterly pension review presentation by Mike Comstock of Aon. Mike reviewed the investment returns for the defined benefit, defined contribution, and the deferred compensation pension plans for the second quarter of 2023. The total plan assets returned 3% in the quarter, exceeding the policy benchmark of 2.4%. Mike also reviewed the investment management fees associated with the plans and indicated that the district's fees were less than those charged to its institutional peers. Secretary Treasurer Tim Snoke then reviewed the district's operating fund portfolio as of August 30, 2023. Tim indicated that the portfolio is in compliance with the district's investments policy. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. The meeting was adjourned at 9:18 a.m. This concludes the Finance Committee Board comments report.
Thank you, Trustee Evans. I'll read the last report, the Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting, Board's comments report. The Stakeholder Relations Committee met on September the 5th, 2023 at 9:20 a.m. The meeting was attended by Chairperson Wilson, Trustees Nicholson and Watson, and online with Trustees Fair and Wabi. Chairperson Wilson called roll and had no further comment. The minutes of the August 1st, 2023 Stakeholder Relations Committee meeting were voted on and approved. The agenda and discussion items were as follows. Operation Semi-Annual Regulatory Compliance Report. Brett Burpo gave a presentation regarding the Operations Department Semi-Annual Regulatory Compliance Report. It included a summary of treatment plant compliance, customer service, and collection systems maintenance, related backup, and overflows metrics. There's no board action required at this time. Rate Commission recommendation report and next steps. Brian Oster provided information to the board regarding the next steps and the time frame of events for the remainder of the Rate Commission process. The Rate Commission's recommendation report dated September 5th, 2023 was provided to the board after the September 5th committee meeting, as well as posted to the district's website. Brian also indicated that public discussion may begin at the October committee meeting with a resolution to follow in November. There's no board action required at this time. Adjournment. The meeting was adjourned at 9:35 a.m. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for October the 3rd, 2023. This concludes the Stakeholder Relations Committee Board comments report. Is there the report of the Executive Director?
Yes, I have a brief one, sir. I will be scheduling meetings with each of the trustees individually to go over the rate proposal and the rate commission report in preparation for the October meeting. So I'll be contacting you individually at a set of times just to see what questions you have and just to go over all the material and make sure you've got and understand everything before we start discussions at the October committee reports as Trustee Wilson reported. That's all, sir.
Thank you. Okay, comments from the public. We have one, Mr. John Kaufman, representing the Consumers Council of Missouri. How are you this evening?
Good. Good evening. My name is John Kaufman. I am with the Consumers Council of Missouri. We are a consumer organization that focuses primarily on utility issues and with a special focus on low-income and moderate-income folks. And we are particularly concerned with where sewer rates are going in the region. I appreciate Commissioner Conja's comments earlier, and we appreciate the sentiment about the affordability. I think we are, in the St. Louis region, it is water and sewer rates that are rising the fastest and which have are quickly becoming the one that are higher than the national average and which are beginning to stand out. And with water and sewer being essential to public health and safety, we urge you to approve no rate increases higher than are really necessary. And there are some aspects of the proposal and of the Rate Commission report that seem excessively burdensome on the public and unnecessary. I would draw your attention particularly to the minority report on page 155. So if you read nothing in the Rate Commission, I would direct you to page 155. In fact, I have a copy of that page, and maybe it'd be easier if I could just hand this out and you can follow along with me on issue. Just four. And let me say that there is some good work and some well-intentioned folks on the Rate Commission. I've seen them work and I've seen them really get into the details. But I have to say that I'm very disappointed with the process. I don't see how this process is really working to protect the public, as is mandated by your charter, when the Rate Commission comes back and recommends the entire package of proposed rate increases. This one aspect as to the debt service coverage requirement is something that would shave millions of dollars off of this, leave millions of dollars on the kitchen table of the folks who pay these wastewater bills, and it will do it in a way that will not take out any of the projects that are currently in the proposed capital plan, the plans that are necessary, the plans that you want to do. You can make this change without impacting one job, but you would then stay the course with what has been over this difficult consent decree period, a 1.6x debt service coverage overall. The proposal and what the majority of the Rate Commission went was with a 1.8 total debt coverage and 2.5 for senior debt. And this is a really dramatic impact and is a financial luxury that we really can't afford. There is also a report from Brubaker and Associates that was put into the record of the Rate Commission report, and I think that's Exhibit 107. Mike Gorman goes into more detail about it. But we appreciate the concern about low-income folks. In fact, that's what we really care about. But despite best efforts in the CAP program and the efforts that have been done so far, we still are only reaching a small fraction of the people who would be eligible and who are at that income level. What you can do with this adjustment would help those folks even more than anything that you would do in the CAP program, and it would help folks that are above that level, on the above moderate income families as well. Leave millions of dollars more in the St. Louis economy as discretionary income that would support the development of the region overall. So this is, again, staying with the 1.6 would be what has been done in the last few four-year rate plans under the consent decree. The district's bond ratings have not been hurt during this period. There's really no evidence to consider why you have to boost the rate increase so much further just to hold off some sort of speculative concern. But in the entire Rate Commission package of evidence, there was nothing in there that would definitively link any sort of greater benefit. And if there is some benefit to having such a conservative or such a high financial debt coverage ratio, it is far outweighed by the cost, the financial cost that it would be. I mean, sure, they'll say, well, if you get it up so high, we'll be able to borrow at better rates, at lower rates. but that's just a fraction of what the impact is of getting to this level. And so I would urge you to prepare an amendment that would adopt this minority report on page 155, which was supported by 4 commissioners, Goss, Palins, Stein, and Tonjes, and is well thought out. And I would leave you with this last thought. During this entire difficult period that we've all had to live with the consent decree, voters have continued to support the bond issuances. And I think that they should. But with the support that the public has given for the bond issuances, I think it's an insult to say that that part of the financing package has to shrink further from 70% down to 6%. And so that is really what's here. I think it would honor the public and the support that the public has honored the MSD with over this years to go back to the 1.6, which has served us all well. And that's my main pitch. Again, I appreciate the things that are in the Rate Commission report regarding affordability. I think there does need to be more discussion. I also appreciate the fact, the effort to try to tie the water and sewer rates together, and the fact that there are many people in the city who I think are mislabeled with their number of bedrooms and bathrooms, and because of the way they're built in the city, are going to be getting a double whammy with this sewer increase. So I hope that you give this a lot of thought, and remember that you are the decider here. The Rate Commission is an advisory body. They've laid for you a lot of work, but to protect the public, I think you should at least go back to the financing debt coverage that you have done, and that's our ask of it. And that's all.
Thank you. We have one more comment from the public. Ms. Diane Plessis, representing Missouri Industrial Energy
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Diana Plesha. I represent the Missouri Industrial Energy consumers. These include some of MSD's largest consumers, and they also have a very strong relationship with MSD in terms of partnering to make sure that all of the service needs of the entire St. Louis area are served. These are very important economic drivers in the St. Louis area, all of these companies, and so we all want to see a strong economy. MSD is part of a strong economy. We have participated in every Rate Commission proceeding since the inception of the Rate Commission, and we were involved over 20 years ago in the development and establishment of the Rate Commission, and we think it's a good process. Ultimately, the board has to decide, based on the various recommendations it's received, about what's in the best interest of both the utility and the public. We have some concerns about the Rate Commission result in this case, and I just want to highlight a few of those very briefly. I know that you'll be hearing a lot more information next week, but I thought I would take the chance to at least give you a brief overview. Jack Stein represents the MIEC on the Rate Commission, and he's been representing them since the very beginning. And he participates in a minority report, which I would encourage you to look at, which summarizes the concerns that we have. But there's been a very major departure in policy between the Rate Commission report in this case and in prior cases. We had a lot less ratepayer participation in this case. It could be because of notice requirements, et cetera. But the Rate Commission really was established to represent ratepayers and to avoid having rate issues litigated in the courts. For many years, there was a lot of time spent and a lot of expense and uncertainty because issues were being handled in the court. And so the idea is the Rate Commission will bring the facts forward to give the Board of Trustees a more full record upon which to make its decision, which ultimately lies with you. And in most cases, there was substantial ratepayer participation, and there was some give and take. And I think that the balance has always been struck. MSD has been healthy, and it's been able to accomplish all of its projects. We support all of the projects and investments that MSD is making, but we do have a grave concern about the debt service ratio that the Rate Commission has established. It's a substantial policy departure to go from 70-30 to 60-40, and it's a higher debt coverage than needed for MSD to do all of the work that it needs to do and to maintain a healthy ratio. The problem is when you get to a perfect bond rating, which is so high that you end up hurting the economy, you end up hurting employers, and most of all, end up hurting low-income customers, then that's not good for MSD either, because MSD needs a healthy base of economic support to do its work. And so we're very concerned about that, and we hope that the Board of Trustees will pay attention closely to that issue. I'm sure you will. Also, there is a specific issue on the extra strength surcharge, which is paid by large industrial consumers, especially in St. Louis City. This is a very large increase in that extra strength surcharge all of a sudden. It's a lot of money really fast, and it's disruptive. And there's a concern that, industrial customers can usually come up with their own technologies to handle their utility issues, including wastewater, the handling of wastewater. However, if the industrials become less reliant on MSD and they adopt their own separate technologies, that's not necessarily in the best interest of ratepayers as a whole. We want to be able to participate in the system. It's better and more efficient for us to have a reasonable allocation of those costs and to not have rate shock. We have at least one consumer in our industrial group who would have almost a $3 million increase in a very short period of time. I'll confirm that number, but we do plan to do a more detailed presentation on October 3rd. But in the meantime, I wanted to highlight a few of these issues for you. And I think the best option for the commission is to take everything into consideration, but to remember that the ratepayers are the purpose of the rate commission process. And what protects ratepayers and keeps MSD healthy, both of those things go together. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were there any public hearing report?
I have no public hearing reports. I do have one communication I'd like to tell you about. We did receive a letter today from Legal Services of Eastern Missouri, reiterating some of the concerns that you heard here today. So specifically this letter, which will be sent to you along with some supporting documentation that they provided, will be sent to them later today or tomorrow. And it is also in opposition to the proposed rate change, lists some alternatives, specifically mentions some of the factors that were cited today. So I wanted to let you know about that. And then, are we ready for the consent agenda? All right.
Further questions? Let's move on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight's consent agenda is items 10 through 29. Is there any board member who would like to pull an item for a separate vote? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, we'll move then to new business, and we'll start with ordinances. The first one is item 30, which is the introduction of ordinance number 16204, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with HGS LLC, doing business as RES Environmental Operating Company, for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure apiary at the Park Project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 31 is the introduction of ordinance number 16205, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Interfaith Residences, doing business as Doorways, for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Doorways Phase 2 Elliott Place project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 32, the introduction of ordinance number 16206, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with LRA, care of Green City Coalition, for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Peace Park project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 33, introduction of ordinance number 16207, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Procter & Gamble Manufacturing Company for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure project terminus in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 34, introduction of ordinance number 16208, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Ronald McDonald House Charities for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction in the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure Ronald McDonald House project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 35, the introduction of ordinance number 16209, authorizing the district to enter into an agreement with Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis for cost sharing for green infrastructure construction and the CSO volume reduction green infrastructure urban league project in the city of St. Louis. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 36, introduction of ordinance number 16210, making a supplemental appropriation of $75,000 from the Operation Maintenance Construction and Improvement, or OMCI, Fund of Deer Creek to use for storm sewer construction in the Dearborn Drive Storm Sewer Project in the city of Orson Woods, authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with Gershenson Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 37, the introduction of ordinance number 16211, making a supplemental appropriation of $5.3 million from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for wastewater treatment plant construction and the Lee May wastewater treatment facility repairs and improvements project in unincorporated St. Louis County, and authorizing the district to appropriate additional funds to a contract with Goodwin Brothers Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 38, introduction of ordinance number 16212, making an appropriation of $530,000 from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for combined sewer construction in the Biddle 1307 Combined Sewer and Junction Chamber Repair Project in the city of St. Louis, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Bates Utility Company. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 39, the introduction of ordinance number 16213, making an appropriation of $875,000 from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Cross Timber 705 Sanitary Replacement Project in the city of Town and Country, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Keeley Construction Group. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 40 is the introduction of ordinance number 16214, making an appropriation of $5.15 million from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for sanitary sewer construction in the Valley Sanitary Relief Phase 3 project in the cities of Clarkson Valley and Baldwin, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Pace Construction Company. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 41, introduction of ordinance number 16215, making an appropriation of $1.2 million from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for pump station improvements in the Woodland Lane Pump Station Replacement and Storage Project in the city of Kirkwood, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Cub Contracting. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 42, introduction of ordinance number 16216, making an appropriation of $480,000 from the OMCI Fund of Coldwater Creek to be used for channel stabilization in the Fairway Court 3901 Bank Stabilization Project in the city of St. Anne, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Waymeyer Farms. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 43, introduction of ordinance number 16217, making an appropriation of $75,000 from the OMCI Fund of Deer Creek to be used for storm sewer construction in the Litzinger 10412 Storm Sewer Improvements Project in the city of Frontenac, and authorizing the district to enter into a contract with ASKR Construction. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 44, introduction and adoption of ordinance 16218, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Fred M. Luth & Sons to alleviate building backups and overcharged sanitary sewers in Canterbury and Roland Sanitary Relief Project in the cities of Northwoods and Pasadena Hills. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 45, another introduction and adoption. This is of ordinance 16219, authorizing the district to enter into a contract with Fred M. Luth & Sons to reduce basement backups and relieve overcharged sanitary sewers in the Schutz Road Sanitary Relief Project in unincorporated St. Louis County. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson? Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 46, introduction of ordinance number 16220, making an appropriation of $3 million from the Sanitary Replacement Fund to be used for repair, replacement, or improvement projects to address needs of facilities in infrastructure repairs at various locations throughout the district. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 47, introduction of ordinance number 16221, declaring the necessity for the acquisition of easements and temporary easements and certain real property within the district for the purpose of construction of sewers and related appurtenances in the project known as Conway Road Sanitary Relief in the city of Ladue to serve the needs of residents of the area, and authorizing staff to proceed with further condemnation efforts related to the project. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Give the motion in second. Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 48, introduction of ordinance number 16222, declaring the necessity for the acquisition of easements and temporary easements and certain real property within the district for the purpose of construction of sewers and related appurtenances in the project known as North Clay 728 Sanitary Relocation in the city of Kirkwood to serve the needs of residents of the area and authorizing staff to proceed with further condemnation efforts related to the project. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 49, introduction of ordinance number 16223, again declaring the necessity for the acquisition of easements and temporary easements and certain real property within the district for the purpose of construction of sewers and related appurtenances in the project known as Spady Road Sanitary Improvements in the city of Frontenac and Creve Coeur, again to serve needs of the residents of the area and authorizing staff to proceed with further condemnation efforts related to the project. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 50, introduction of ordinance number 16224, still declaring the necessity for the acquisition of easements and temporary easements and certain real property within the district for the purpose of the construction of sewers and related appurtenances in the project known as TM01 2 Mile Creek Outfall Sanitary Relief in the cities of Huntley and Ladue to serve needs of the residents of the area and authorizing staff to proceed with further condemnation efforts related to the project. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 51, back to introduction and adoptions. This is of ordinance 16225. This is an ordinance authorizing and directing the issuance and sale and delivery of a wastewater system revenue bond. This is the Series 2022 3D, the WIFIA bond, up to $330 million. Prescribing the form and details of the bond and authorizing certain actions and documents prescribing other matters relating thereto. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Do I hear an objection to the suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 52, the introduction and adoption of ordinance 16226, authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $260 million principal amount of subordinate wastewater system revenue bonds, Series 2023E of the district. This is from the state revolving fund for the purpose of improving, renovating, repairing, replacing, and equipping the district's wastewater system, prescribing the form and details of the bonds and agreements made by the districts to facilitate and protect their payment, and prescribing other related matters. Is there a motion for introduction?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson? Do I hear an objection to suspension of the rule? Hearing none, is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, that takes us to resolutions. The first one is item 53, the adoption of resolution 3855, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to John R. Juergens for his 25 years of exemplary service to the district from August 31st, 1998 to his retirement effective September 1st, 2023. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 54 is the adoption of Resolution 3856, expressing the Board of Trustees' appreciation to Kevin Taylor for his 37 years of exemplary service to the district from May 27th, 1986 to his retirement effective September 1st, 2023. Is there a motion for adoption?
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Item 55, the adoption of Resolution 3857, exercise option year 1 of a contract previously authorized by Ordinance 15892, adopted May 12, 2022, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with O.R. Cole & Associates to provide easement acquisition services throughout various locations within the district. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
And item 56, the adoption of Resolution 3858 to exercise option year 3 of a contract previously authorized by Ordinance 15206, adopted July 11, 2019, that authorized the district to enter into a contract with Pure Technologies to provide professional services for force main evaluation program support in the city of St. Louis and in St. Louis County. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholasison?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, thank you, trustees. Mr. Chair, there is no further business tonight.
Okay, but With no further business, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.